Well, Hurricane Nicole is bearing down on the island of Bermuda. The National Hurricane Center calls a Category 3 storm extremely dangerous, with maximum sustained winds of 20 miles per hour. This is actually a view of Nicole from the International Space Station. The British territory is getting pounded with strong winds, heavy rain, and damaging storm surge. Our Don Dahler is in the town of Hamilton with the latest, and he joins us by phone. Don, what can you tell us? What are the conditions there right now?
Well, I'm sitting on the covered porch of the Coral Beach Club, and I have to tell you, I'm looking out now at palm trees that are still being buffeted by high winds. I'm looking at heavy surf, but it is much less violent than it was just a few hours ago. When Nicole slammed ashore, it was one of the most fierce storms I've ever been through, and I think this is my fifth hurricane. The trees were bent sideways. I literally could not stand up in the wind. That's how fierce it was. When the eye finally passed over around 11 o'clock this morning, we made our way out to try to assess the damage. And surprisingly, we saw moderate damage. We saw some trees down. We saw some flooding. We saw some sheds that were destroyed. There are reports that there was flooding in downtown Hamilton. And I preface that all by saying that we don't know what's happening on the north side of the island now that the major part of the storm has moved past us here in the south to the north. But all reports that we're hearing is that there was not any serious damage and no fatalities, which is amazing because this was a terrific storm, just breathtaking in its intensity. And honestly, I think that there are three main reasons why it didn't suffer as much damage as almost any other place that faced a Cat 3 or a Cat 4 storm would. One is Bermuda is literally a volcano. It's built on an ancient volcano in the North Atlantic, and so that's incredibly strong bedrock that they've built the buildings into. Number two, they build their buildings like they're bomb shelters. They're foot-thick walls. They have concrete on top instead of shingles. They're built to withstand the multiple storms. And even though they don't get many major hurricanes through here, they get a lot of storms. And so they've created a community here that's prepared for that. And number three, there is a coral reef that surrounds the island that protects them from the storm surge that has done so much destruction in other places, including with Hurricane Matthew just this past week.
I was not aware of that history, Don, and how much more well protected these buildings are in Bermuda, especially when you compare them to Haiti. I want to ask you, though, is there any concern that this storm might move over to the U.S. and continue moving east?
Well, right now I heard from some hurricane experts that the storm has, quote, shredded and is moving towards the northeast. So it's moving away from the mainland North America. All accounts are that it is not going to turn back and that it's no longer going to be a threat. And the impressive thing is that it appears, and again, I have to say that I've not contacted anyone on the north part of the island, and they might have gotten the worst of it because the winds actually change direction, as you know, when the back part of the hurricane past the eye comes on. So I don't have any reports from there yet, and we're reaching out to try to find that. But it appears right now that Bermuda took Nicole's best shot and is going to be okay.
That's good news, Don. Thank you very much. Don Dahler, who is reporting from Bermuda. Thanks, Don.
My pleasure.